Republican Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. Chairman, thank you for joining us this morning on what is shaping up to be a busy day, a busy finish to the week here. So is that enough? The president's talking about sending thousands of troops to the southern border. Would that be effective in accomplishing his goal?
Well, good morning, Sandra. It's certainly part of the puzzle. It's part of what we need to do. But, the president is absolutely right. Barriers work. Talk to Israel. But we do need increased manpower. Part of the problem is our attrition rate is higher than our hiring rate. So we don't have the number of Border Patrol agents. So I think that's one of the reasons it's really prompted the president to call up the National Guard. But we definitely need to fix our broken legal immigration system. We have so many laws and legal loopholes that incentivize illegal immigration. For example, we can't immediately and humanely return unaccompanied children from Central America like we can unaccompanied children from Mexico. As a result, they come into our country. They can just turn themselves in. They go up to the ports of entry. They claim credible fear. And then we process them and we disperse them around America and we never return them. And so that's a huge incentive for further illegal immigration. So we have a horribly broken legal immigration system. So those are the laws that President Trump is talking about fixing, which Democrats refuse to even talk about.
It's interesting how tying all of this together and the president making it clear that with his goal of sending the National Guard down to our border, he wants this until the wall is built. Is that going to happen, Senator?
It certainly should. Again, nobody's talking about a 2,000-mile wall, but barriers actually work. I was in Israel. In 2 years, they constructed about a 140-mile wall. I think their illegal immigration went from 16,000 down to 16. So walls definitely work, but you also need the personnel. And again, our hiring rate isn't keeping up with our attrition rate. And we also need to make sure that we deploy the Customs and Border Patrol agents on the border as opposed to doing administrative tasks. A lot of those tasks are, again, caused by the legal requirements of very bad law.
Senator, are you getting the sense that the president is getting support for this, wanting to send thousands of National Guard troops down to our border, as far as border states, governors are concerned? What is the sense that you're getting that there is growing support for this?
I've always believed the American people support securing our borders for a host of reasons: national security, public health and safety, our drug trafficking, as well as if we're ever going to fix our legal immigration system, we have to be able to control our borders. So I think the American people have always been completely behind that. Democrats give it lip service. Every Democrat in my committee say, oh, we absolutely want to secure the border. Okay, we'll provide funding for better barriers, provide funding for additional Border Patrol agents, and let's fix those laws that incentivize illegal immigration.
Senator, I want to move on to this deadline that has now been missed, this initial deadline where the Justice Department was asked to hand over these documents pertaining to the Clinton Foundation investigation as well as the FISA investigation. Why is the FBI refusing to hand over these documents, Senator?
Well, we have our own deadlines for my committee in terms of requests for information as well. I sent a letter to Attorney General Sessions, to Rod Rosenstein, and also to Inspector General Horowitz about the redacted text messages that should have been redacted. And so I'm starting to ask the question. I'm starting to do an investigation in terms of who's doing these redactions, who in the FBI is making these decisions, because I think that's a real problem there as well. I don't know whether the Attorney General has control over his own FBI or whether the FBI director does as well. So this is a huge problem, and it's a problem for a number of committees, both in the House and the Senate, and we will get to the bottom of this. It may take some time, but we are going to be very diligent in our efforts to get to the bottom of this.
Kimberly Strassel has been digging into this, as you know, for quite some time in the Wall Street Journal. She penned a piece this morning titled, "What is the FBI hiding?" And she concludes her piece by saying, here's what has become very clear. The FBI relied significantly on a Clinton opposition research document in pursuing its Trump investigation. No amount of diversionary talk over other evidence can now change that. Is that something that you could agree with, Senator?
Absolutely. And again, one of the reasons congressional oversight is so important, I think in this case, the most important aspect of this is the public needs to know what's been happening in our Justice Department and the FBI. The problem with criminal investigations is, if done properly, if they don't produce an indictment, the public never knows what's happened within that criminal investigation. In this case, I think public disclosure takes precedent over everything else. And so the congressional committees have every right to obtain this information. Why is it only FBI agents have access to this information? We as members of Congress have as high, if not higher, security clearances than many members of the FBI, and yet we're denied access to that information. It's just not going to stand. We will get that information. It may take a little bit more time, but there's enough of us putting pressure on the FBI and the Justice Department. We'll get that information. By the way, Attorney General Sessions absolutely wants to get this information. I think he's being frustrated by his own agency and by the FBI.
All right. Senator Johnson, thanks for joining us this morning. Mr. Chairman, great to have you on the program.
Have a good morning.
You too.